basically waking up one day, I'm going to build a guitar, or is this something you've been thinking about for a while?
Well, in high school, I still have some drawings of guitars, a guitar called the Roeller that I was going to build in high school. So I had been, I guess you could say, peripherally thinking about it my whole life. But yeah, literally, I just woke up one day and went, I think I'm going to do this now. And bought a bunch of books, read them, and did it. The Demon is customized specifically to me, and because it's my guitar. We started interacting in terms of like questions and answers and Q&A back and forth and design ideas. But it was pretty much right after the Demon is when I went up to his room and said, "Hey, I hate doing finishes and sanding. Do you want to kick in with me here and we'll do this together?"
Well, we lived together. He decided to do one day and was asking me, "Hey, how should I do this? How should I do that? What do you think of this?" And it just kind of came together like that. And then he said, "Hey, I'm thinking about actually really going ahead and doing a bunch of these and really making a job out of this. Would you be interested in helping out?" And so of course, it was a way to live here and help pay for rent. So, kind of a no-brainer.
What were some of the first things that he brought to you that he had questions about?
The Demon guitar was kind of his second attempt. That was the one that I had helped him a little bit with some polishing on Azrael, which was, I think, the first true guitar. But that was just what we call a body mod now, so it was a carving and painting and everything like that, where the Demon was a full one-off thing. So I had done some showing him how to do some polishing techniques, some fine sanding and everything with Azrael, and then this one was just an all-out help, I guess, for the two of us to really dig in and say, "Hey, we can do this."
So Jesse actually went to school for finishing.
So I worked at Mars, and it was started out as like just a fun part-time job. I got paid money to sit around and play guitar all day, so that's pretty sweet. Just wasn't paying the bills, and I wanted to. Always had a huge love for cars, so I actually went to school for auto body, and the paint and everything was where I took off away from doing the actual auto body aspect of it. I was able to take all that fine artistry and everything and bring it into the guitar, which you're still sanding. We actually use now a urethane type enamel for the clear coat, which is very similar to the auto body stuff that I'd used. So a lot of that just was, I don't want to say easy, but you're doing something this big versus an entire car.
He's really digging in there. His work literally is 100% top notch, especially. I mean, people don't know how much time we spend behind the scenes, but the finish really is like the hubcaps. I mean, nobody cares how I put my ear to a slab of wood and tapped it listening for the acoustic tendency of the wood. All they see is the finish and what it looks like. So, I mean, it's all in there, but he does an incredible job in terms of just level of detail.
Trying to fit that custom market, we don't have a set design process because a lot of the times it's going back and forth with what the customer wants. A lot of times that is the design process, is emailing back and forth with them. If they sketch something out on a napkin and shoot a text message picture of it to me. It just depends on what that customer wants. But yeah, obviously everything starts out with a sketch or multiple sketches, thumbnails, what have you, until we actually have a full-size drawn-out guitar on paper.
Once they say, "Yep, that's exactly what I'm looking for," whether that be a carving, a sketch of the carving, whether that be the actual shape of the guitar, then body mods that we do, which is just somebody hands us a guitar, I carve it out, he finishes it, we put it back together and send it off. That's a no-brainer. But for our own designs and our own carving ideas, once we get it done, I sit down and I measure it out, and I make sure I basically make a 2D model of it, one looking down and then mentally up, so that I figure out where to place everything. Once we finally have that done and the design portion of it is done, it gets moved to wood.
The first Demon that I built, as you can tell, I started out by just carving out all the way around it, and then I routed out the top. What I do is I Sharpie the whole thing out around the edges, and I cut this out. And then on this particular version, I Sharpied out where the demon face was going to go and how it was going to move through the entire guitar, and that was all Sharpied out, and it's left blank in here. I do a lot of carving by freehand, meaning that I just kind of draw it out roughly, and then I just start carving. This is my art project. I don't know what this is going to be. I just know that I wanted a Venetian guitar that had more of a classical feel to it. So I came down here one day with me and a chunk of walnut, and I started carving out. Back has a diamond. It's highly figured walnut, which I like. It has multiple levels all the way across it, and then it has the Venetian design that I'm still chiseling away at between guitars. Protective gear. Watch your fingers. And it fits in there perfectly. Boom. It's walnut with the sap side up on the...
It fades in from a darker to a lighter as it goes inward here. The centerpiece is the solid
maple.
The maple neck.
One's maple and one's walnut, so the stain on it actually...
this inherently is just quite a bit lighter piece of wood. So it reacted a little bit better, well I think better, through the black, so you can see the black versus the light tones, and it really, some of the grain really pops through on there. The walnut looks more like a zebra or tiger stripe, I guess, would probably be more accurate. But again, from the wood itself going from dark to light, you can see the darker brown hues, and they fade out to the lighter stripes that are through here. On both sides, because that's how we cut the wood to match. So it really, man, just really pops on the back of it. The front obviously does as well, but you got a little bit more going on with the pickups and everything. So but I love how the neck comes through and all came out like that. The urethane, again, being a lot harder than the poly we were doing. The main reason we switched to this is the poly. When you would apply one level of clear coat, let it dry, then apply a second, and then you'd go to buff it, because it was a little bit softer, when you went to buff it, the heat from our buffer would actually cause different rings, and you could see the different layers in the clear coat, and it was just an absolute nightmare to get to be all one flush level when you're, millions of a layer thick. So with this being a lot harder to wet sand and harder to buff, it's supposed to alleviate that, and we should have just a mirror-like finish, again, with no area to hide anything. It's all right out in front. But this was just a freshly painted unit. It just finished drying actually yesterday. Again, we're going through body with this one, so the strings are going through the body all the way up through the neck. This, again, is going to be a bolt-on. But we tried doing a Danish oil with this one. So there's no clear coat on here, it's just this oil into the finish, which really allows the wood grain to pop through there. Again, it being an extremely light, small guitar, I can't wait to finish this one, actually. The one thing I was going to add to that is, because there's no clear coat in there to protect the wood, this is going to be a little bit more sensitive to the elements. So you definitely want to make sure it's in a little bit more humid room so it doesn't crack and separate like an acoustic guitar would. But I was just going to wet sand a spot here so you can see the difference that it makes. And I had already gone through and done this 1500. I just have a 2000 grit here, but for our purposes here, this will work just fine. Again, just a heavier wool cutting pad.
specs with working on the car last night. Thought that was me on my money car getting ready to go. Depending on what light I can get.
I can see it with the camera. Let's see.
I don't know how close you can get into the actual mouth, but those are actually, I was using my micro engravers to make teeth, and now imagine poor Jesse sitting down there with a piece of 1500 grit about this big going like this in between the teeth to try and level them out, and cursing my name the whole time for carving such a small little, and that's literally how it is with all of our carvings. All of our carvings are identical to that. Even the most recent one, just sitting down there and getting in between each of the feathers, sitting down, getting into the eye, sitting down, getting into each of the little nooks and crannies to make sure you get a uniform 100% polish across the board. They are completely original, and you don't see them out on the market, and that's really kind of our selling point.
There's a reason for it, because nobody else is dumb enough to waste the time to do it.
Right.
You talking about like the horn right up there on the...
Our double cutaway, double horns. You aren't seeing them. You don't see them out on the market, but the reason why nobody else does them is because of how much of a pain they are to sand. Here's the thing, though. The sense of accomplishment when you nail it, though, is like literally when you string out that guitar and you get everything put in and you plug everything in and you look down at it, I just sit back and grin from ear to ear, and it makes it all worth it. Makes it even more worth it when they cut a check.